Thank you all for being with me. As many of you know, the U.S. House of Representatives recently passed the so-called reconciliation bill by a vote of 215 to 214, a one-vote margin. Every Democrat voted against this bill. Almost every Republican voted for it. In the coming weeks, the U.S. Senate is expected to take the bill up. Let me take this opportunity to tell you what is in this piece of legislation. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, this bill makes the obscenely rich, the oligarchs, even richer, while attacking the most basic needs of working families and the most vulnerable people in our society. This bill provides massive tax breaks to the richest people and largest corporations and pays for them by making gigantic cuts to Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, nutrition, education, and other programs that are life and death for working families, the children, and the elderly. This bill is what Trump economics is all about. If you are rich or a large multinational corporation, if you can make huge campaign contributions, you are entitled to massive tax breaks, and Congress will give you those tax breaks. But if you are working class or poor and you can't make those large campaign contributions, you are entitled to nothing. You're not entitled to health care through Medicaid. You're not entitled to a nutrition program to feed your kids. You're not entitled to a decent education. Trumpism is about the belief that we live in a dog-eat-dog world where the big dogs are able to eat the little dogs. And that is the way it is. This bill would provide a $664 billion tax break to the top 1% at a time when the top 1% already own more wealth than the bottom 93%. It would provide a $420 billion tax breaks to large multinational corporations that are stashing their profits in offshore tax havens like the Cayman Islands. And by the way, this tax break makes it easier for those companies to invest in robots and artificial intelligence, with the result they're going to be able to throw workers out on the streets. And how would Trump and the Republicans in Congress pay for these huge tax breaks for the wealthy and large corporations? Well, at a time when over 85 million Americans today are uninsured or underinsured, this bill slashes Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act by more than $715 billion. The Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, has estimated that this bill would eliminate health care for 13.7 million Americans. Almost 14 million Americans would lose their health care. Further, at a time when 22% of our seniors are trying to survive on less than $15,000 a year, and I don't know how anybody survives on that, this legislation will make it much harder for seniors to receive the care they desperately need in nursing homes. And here is something else that is really quite shocking. Just this week, Yale University and the University of Pennsylvania estimated that if this bill is enacted, over 50,000 Americans will die unnecessarily due to the massive cuts to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. It's not rocket science. If people don't have access to health care and can't get to a doctor when they are sick, many will die unnecessarily. But it's not just our health care system that would be devastated by this legislation. While this bill provides massive tax breaks to billionaires, it would cut $290 billion from nutrition programs and would literally take food away from more than 2 million children and at least 250,000 low-income seniors. Recently, as you may have seen, on the TV program Meet the Press, Speaker Mike Johnson said that there was a quote-unquote moral component to this bill, a moral component. He was referring to the fact that this bill would require Americans to prove that they are working at least 80 hours a month before receiving Medicaid or food stamps. Let us see how, quote-unquote, moral that requirement really is. Last year, some 20 million Americans were either laid off or fired by their employers. They lost their jobs. And in our dysfunctional and cruel healthcare system, when you lose your job, you lose your healthcare. And that is what Medicaid is supposed to be all about. It is supposed to be there for those people who need it the most, the people, among others, who lose their jobs. All of us remember what happened during the COVID pandemic. In March and April of 2020, 22 million workers lost their jobs in a 2-month period. 22 million workers. People were lined up for miles at food banks to feed their families. What would have happened to them if they were unable to receive Medicaid or nutrition assistance? How many would have ended up in total desperation? How many would have actually died? Well, maybe you're thinking, that was then, it will never happen again. Well, take a look at what happened when Wall Street crashed the economy. Between October of 2008 and April of 2009, an average of 700,000 Americans lost their jobs every month through no fault of their own. What would have happened to many of those people without Medicaid, food stamps, and other federal assistance? But it's not just COVID and the 2008 recession that we should be thinking about. Consider what will likely be happening to jobs in our country in the very near future. Just last week, Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, one of the world's most powerful creators of artificial intelligence, predicted that AI, quote, could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and spike unemployment 10 to 20% in the next 1 to 5 years, end of quote. Let me repeat. The head of one of the most powerful AI companies in the world is telling us that half of all entry-level white-collar jobs could be eliminated as a result of AI. And many blue-collar jobs will be eliminated through advances in robotics. And let us not forget, Medicaid does not just provide health insurance for individual Americans. It is the major source of funding for nursing homes throughout our country. Are my Republican friends going to suggest that seniors and people with severe disabilities work 80 hours a month before they can get Medicaid to pay for their nursing home coverage? Is that what they're thinking? And let me get back for a moment to the so-called morality issue. I happen not to be active in organized religion, not my thing. But I have read the Bible. And this is what Jesus said, and I quote, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me." End of quote. That, my friends, is what morality is all about. I would hope that my colleagues in the Senate, especially those who claim to be religious, remember that very powerful passage. And let us be frank, in no religion, not Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, or any other, is it considered moral to enrich those who need it the least while taking basic necessities, food, healthcare, away from the desperate people who need it the most. Together, we can and must defeat this terrible legislation. Thank you.